Ladies and gentlemen, good morning on this Saturday morning, March 11th. This is AMS Live, my name is Boy, and what we are seeing is Air Europa flight 1091 7879 Dreamliner coming in from Madrid, 3 years old, delivered in December 2019. Morgen. Quickly turning around the camera because the next plane coming in is a 777-300ER from KLM flight 592 coming in from Johannesburg after 10 hours and 47 minutes of flight. This airplane is 6 years old and was delivered in May 2016. moment we are standing alongside Polderbaan. Currently the only runway in use for landings. Wind is coming from the south insofar as there is any wind. Stark contrast to yesterday when we had an entire day of rain and snow. Now a beautiful sunny day, although we do have some high clouds. Next plane coming in, KLM flight 758 in the 100 years livery. It's a 787-10 Dreamliner coming in from Panama City after 8 hours and 48 minutes of flight. This airplane is 3 years old and was delivered in June 2019. Miran, goedemorgen. Carlos, good morning. Welcome everybody. There's hardly any wind. What wind there is coming from the south, according to the latest weather report of Schiphol. But where I'm standing, I don't feel any wind at all, which is nice, but of course can make for sudden runway changes by Schiphol. So let's hope that the current runway configuration remains in place. Coming in next is EasyJet flight 24891 coming in from Naples, Italy. It's an A319, 14 years old, delivered in January 2009. And behind it is an Airbus A330 from KLM coming in from Calgary, flight 678, an A330-300, 11 years old, delivered in February 2012. Let's quickly turn around the camera. The A330 also coming closer by. Now temperature wise, it's 3 degrees centigrade or approximately 38 Fahrenheit. I'm standing in the grass where there's also some snow still and some ice. The water I'm standing next to is frozen, just a little layer of ice on it. Kuni informing us that there's an A747 out 5 minutes from now. Lot of traffic, also a lot of heavies coming in. First up will be British Airways flight 2758 coming in from London Gatwick. That's an A319 that is 17 years old, was delivered in February 2006. It's going to be followed by an A320 from Air France coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. 12 years old, delivered in April 2010. Now you can see the sun is out because of the backlight. And in the distance you can see a departing plane. Currently the Kaagbaan runway 24 and runway 18 left are in use for departures. And here's the Air France A320 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Now let me quickly turn around the camera back to the end of the runway. We have some heavy traffic coming in. First up, KLM flight 741, 7879 Dreamliner coming in from Cartagena, 6 years old, delivered in September 2016. Morgen.
Mooie apparatuur, man.
Zeg je?
Mooie apparatuur.
Ja, zeker.
Ja, die is heel erg gek hier.
Another KLM pilot in a hurry, making sure to vacate the runway in time for the next plane. Turning around the camera back to the end of the runway. The next plane is already visible. It is another Dreamliner 7878 from American Airlines flight 204 coming in from Philadelphia after just over 6.5 hours of flight. This is a new airplane delivered in June 2021. After that, another 777 from China Cargo Airlines coming in from Shanghai. That is a brand new plane delivered in July last year. Joao, good morning. Wendy, good morning. Rick, een hele goede morgen. Good morning to you too. So the next plane is the cargo airplane from China Cargo, the 777 from Shanghai, after having flown almost 11.5 hours. And number 2 is going to be the first queen of the day, being followed by an A350. So all the heavies that are out there we are about to see almost. We're just waiting for an A330neo, and then I think the bunch is complete. The number 2, the 747-400 from Suparna, coming in from Nanjing after almost 11.25 hours of flight. 15 years old, delivered in July 2007. The 747 that is. You can see that the runway is still wet when the thrust reversers are applied. Yesterday we had precipitation throughout the day, all day until the evening. Rain first, later it became snow. And here is the Suparna 747-400. Coming in from Nanjing, as I said before, after 11 hours and 15 minutes of flight. 15 years old, delivered in July 2007. And behind it is Delta Airlines Flight 136 from Detroit, an A350-900. And that is 4 years old, was delivered in March 2018. Phil, very good morning to you too. Bono, good morning. Matthäus, good morning. Goedemorgen. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy, and this is the Polderbaan. Runway 18 left. And the first queen of the day. Well, that definitely made the runway a bit drier with all the spray it produced. That was quite a sight to behold. Quickly turning around the camera. Next up, an A350 from Delta Airlines, as I said, flight 136 coming in from Detroit, an R350-900, airborne for 7 hours and 10 minutes now, about to touch down in a few seconds. This airplane, 4 years old, delivered in March 2018. and the bird controllers have their work cut out for them, as you can see. Still no shortage of birds here at Schiphol Airport. While setting up, I did actually see the bird controllers pass by, already shooting off some flares. I'm expecting them to return shortly. In fact, I spy with my little eye, and you can hear it as well. Here's K1. Bird controller shooting off fireworks. So that's the bangs you're hearing, if that's what you're wondering. Meanwhile, looking back, oh my lord, look at that. Quite some birds. Okay, so coming in now is Delta Airlines Flight 74, that's an A330-300. It's coming in from Atlanta after almost 8 hours of flight. The airplane is 17 years old, was delivered in June 2005. Look at that flare. A very nice wheelie landing by the pilots. Hey Robbie, goedemorgen, good morning. Welcome to the stream. All other viewers, welcome to the stream. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside the Polderbaan. Runway 18 right, 18 left, sorry. For landings on this sunny Saturday. 18 right currently being the only runway still in use for landings. We saw a whole bunch of heavies, including a queen. Now it's waiting for the next plane to arrive. As you can see, the airplanes on their way back to the main platform area of Schiphol Airport. This runway being the most furthest removed from the main platform area. It's the newest addition to the runway system of Schiphol, delivered in 2003. On the left you can see a control tower. That's the dedicated control tower for this runway, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Schiphol and its layout. The main tower of Schiphol, the historic tower, very recognizable in shape. Over there you can see it's quite far in the distance. Planes landing on the Polderbaan on this runway still have a 15-minute taxi typically before they're back to the gate. Meanwhile, if I look at flight radar, I can see a new batch of planes coming this way. An Embraer 190 coming in from Leeds from KLM. There's another Paris Charles de Gaulle inbound plane from KLM, a Boeing 737. There's an A318 from Tarom coming this way, coming in from Bucharest. An A320 from Lufthansa coming in from Munich, and another A320 from Croatia Airlines coming in from Zagreb. Let me take a sip of water. We'll have to see which plane comes first, if it's the plane coming in from Leeds or if it's the plane coming in from Bucharest. I think the Embraer from KLM coming in from Leeds will probably be first. Still relatively far away, so we're unable to see it yet. MAS Traveling, good morning to you too. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Phil, the same for us. We had rain, and later in the afternoon it turned to snow. Precipitation throughout the day yesterday. Cold, windy. Overnight it became dry. As you can see, the sun is now out. It's approximately 3 or 4 degrees centigrade over here at the moment. It's warming up nicely. I think tomorrow another low pressure area is going to cross over the country. Initially they were expecting Sunday also to be relatively good in terms of the weather, but yesterday the forecast for tomorrow was not so good in terms of precipitation. Monday promises to be even worse. Meanwhile, in the distance I can see an airplane approaching. I'm hoping you guys can see it as well. Yep, if I look at my laptop screen, which is bigger than the 3-inch screen of my camera, I can see that you guys can see it as well. So this is KLM flight 1540, an Embraer 190 coming in from Leeds after a 40-minute flight. The airplane being 9 years old and was delivered in January 2014. Number 2 is going to be Tarom flight 361, the flight from Bucharest, an A318 after 2.5 hours of flight, just over 2.5 hours, going to land here in a few minutes. The airplane is 15 years old, was delivered in November 2007. Meanwhile, somebody should call the scarecrows because there is a flock of birds right alongside the runway over here. Nice to see, but very dangerous for the airplanes and for the birds. I'm looking around to see if I can see the yellow pickup truck from the bird controllers, but I don't see it anywhere at the moment. It was here not too long ago, but cannot see it yet. What is becoming visible better in the meanwhile is the Embraer coming in from Leeds, from KLM. And because it has its landing lights on, we can also see the number 2 in the distance. The Tarom Airbus A318 coming in from Bucharest. Hopefully no bird strikes will happen. Daarom A318 also coming closer by. You can see some lights further up in the distance. So that's the number 3. Number 2 will be the 737-800 from KLM coming in from Charles de Gaulle. That is an 11-year-old plane delivered in May 2011. And number 3 is an A320 from Lufthansa coming in from Munich. 3 years old, delivered in September 2019. Let me turn around the camera for you guys. The next plane also close by. So that's the 737-800 from KLM coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. 11 years old, delivered in May 2011. Behind it is going to be the Lufthansa A320 coming in from Munich. After the Lufthansa A320 will come another A320 from Croatia Airlines coming in from Zagreb. That is a 22-year-old airplane, was delivered in April 2000. And vacating the runway in time for the Air Croatia A320. Now, number 2 after the Air Croatia A320 is going to be an A320neo from Pegasus Air coming in from Istanbul. A 5-year-old plane delivered in February 2018. Hey Gosse, goedemorgen man. Good to see you again. All other viewers who have meanwhile joined us, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 18 right, the only runway in use for landings on this Saturday morning. As you guys can tell, the sun is out over here after a day of rain and snow yesterday. Today the weather is taking a day off. It's approximately 3 or 4 degrees centigrade at the moment, 36, 38-ish Fahrenheit. We see a couple of planes in the distance. The first one is the Neo from Pegasus, and behind it is Delta Airlines Flight 178, an A330-300 coming in from Portland after 9 hours and 10 minutes of flight. The A330 is 19 years old, was delivered in October 2003. In the foreground, the A320 Neo from Pegasus Air, 5 years old, delivered in February 2018. And coming in from Istanbul. Let's quickly turn around the camera for the A330. And it's getting closer and closer by. What wind there is blowing, according to the latest weather update of Schiphol, is blowing from the south, 4 knots. But where I'm standing, I don't feel a breeze at all, which is nice for me, but it is a risk in terms of runway usage for Schiphol. Now, even if they were to change the runway usage to departures, we would still be on a good location to see both incoming and outbound traffic. For now, this is the only runway in use for landings. If you're new to the channel and you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you receive an update, and can join us if you have the time and are feeling like to. It also helps me to reach more people like you and me who like content like this. The next plane coming in is a 777 from KLM, flight 767, but a 777-300 ER coming in from Bonaire, 8 years old, delivered in February 2015, after having flown 7 hours and 40 minutes. And another wheelie landing. Look at that. Beautiful display of control by the pilot. By the pilot landing. Let's turn around the camera. More traffic is coming in. Visibility is good, you can see them far away already. First plane coming in is Delta Flight 48. It's an A330-300 coming in from New York JFK. 15 years old, this airplane. Delivered in August 2007. And it's been airborne now for 6 hours and 40 minutes. Behind it is another 777 from KLM, another 777-300ER. Coming in from Curaçao, Willemstad. That plane is 7 years old, was delivered in February 2016. Let's quickly turn around the camera. For the next KLM 777-300ER. This one coming in from Curaçao. Behind it is a Transavia 737-800, flight 6610. I've been on that one a few times before. It's coming in from Innsbruck. And the airplane is 6 years old, delivered in June 2016. In the foreground, the 777-300ER, 7 years old, coming in from Curaçao from KLM. Quickly back to the camera. And in the background, we can see the next plane lining up, or at least approaching the glide slope for final on 18 right. Not a lot of reverse thrust applied by the pilot. Quite a quiet landing, actually. Not like the roaring rumble of the A330s we have seen so far. So the next plane is the 737-800 from Transavia, coming in from Innsbruck, Austria, and behind it is going to be an A330-300 from Turkish. It's the infamous flight 1951. A similar flight crashed over here, also on final for this particular runway, in fact, if I recall correctly. But this one, hopefully, just going to land as they should. Turkish flight 1951, an A330-300, 12 years old, delivered in January 2011. But first up, the Transavia 737-800, coming in from Innsbruck, Austria. of keeping up the speed. Is going to vacate the runway probably at the next exit. To clear the runway for the A330 from Turkish. We are in fact seeing it vacate the runway right now. Meanwhile, it is starting to get a little cloudy, just high clouds, nothing that is foreboding precipitation, but first I was standing in the sun and now I'm standing in the shade. Hopefully it'll open up again. We've seen too much clouds and precipitation over the last couple of weeks. I could use some vitamin D. That's not coming in pill form. Here's Turkish flight 1951 coming in from Istanbul, Airbus A330-300. Very nice soft landing, hardly any application of reverse thrust, otherwise it would have been much louder. Let me have a look at flight radar. There are two more planes coming this way. The first one being an Embraer 190 from KLM, flight 1352, coming in from Prague, Czech Republic, 9 years old, delivered in October 2013, and behind it is British Airways flight 430 coming in from London Heathrow. It's an Airbus A319 and it is 17 years old, was delivered in March 2005. Both planes already have their landing lights on, so we can see them arrive in the distance. So there's hardly any wind at the moment. What wind there is apparently coming from the south. I don't feel it so much, but the weather, Schiphol weather says it's coming from the south. 18 right, still the only runway in use for landings at the moment, and 24 and 18 left are used for departures. Temperature is approximately 3 degrees centigrade. That's approximately 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So the Embraer landing now is 9 years old, delivered in October 2013. And the British Airways A319 behind it, 17 years old. Now last Thursday I was standing on the other side of this runway where you're most optimally located for departures. And we saw an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM doing a rejected takeoff. It was almost ready to spool up and then it taxied back to the gate. Afterwards, I was looking on the internet to see if something was reported about it, but I couldn't find anything. So if anybody knows more, drop a comment in the chat, because I'm still very curious to learn what happened there. So flight radar, in terms of inbound traffic, is a bit empty in the vicinity of Schiphol. So I immediately checked if the runway was still open for landings, but that's still the case, at least for now. The next batch of airplanes is approaching from all sides though. I can count, I'm counting 5-6 planes already coming this way. Including now just passing into the Netherlands from Belgium in the southwest province of Zeeland. An Airbus A300 from DHL. And before it flies KLM flight 598, a 777-300ER coming in from Cape Town, South Africa. And closer by, a few narrow bodies. So don't go anywhere, we are expecting more traffic. It's just that we have to wait a few moments at the moment. I'm also looking around to see if maybe in the meantime the bird controllers are using this time to do a round around the perimeter, but I don't see the yellow pickup truck anywhere. I have to say that the birds that we saw earlier, I also didn't see any more during the last couple of landings. So there's a race going on between 3 aircraft to decide which one is going to be the first one to arrive. Flying the lowest already is a 737-900 from KLM coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. KLM flight 1228 now flying over the North Sea. It's already at 2,275 feet and descending. Coming in from the northeast is a CRJ-900 from SAS, operated by X-Fly, coming in from Stockholm, but that's still at 5,000 somewhat feet. And also around the same altitude is ITA Airways flight 108 coming in from Rome in the special Born in 2021 livery. So my guess is that the 737-900 from KLM, which is flying the lowest already, is going to make a short turn. I think I can see it already, in fact, if I look towards Haarlem. Now let me see if I can also show you guys, because it's still very far in the distance and my screen is very small. I think there, yep, there it is. So this is probably the next flight coming in. The 737 from KLM, coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Now gradually flying land inward. Flying somewhere in the vicinity of the radio tower in Spaarnwoude. So it's now flying base and it's going to make a turn for the final arrival in a few moments. The camera now focuses on the poles in the foreground, and now it has retained the focus again. And now it's turning final. So a short traffic pattern. Going towards the glide slope, and once it's captured the glide slope, turning around in the heading of the runway and descending on the glide slope. In the background, on the right hand side and just below the airplane, you can see the next plane coming in. I have to have a look at flight radar to see which one it is, but that's lying on the table behind me. So forgive me for not having checked that yet. Meanwhile, I can zoom out a little, show you the bigger picture. And it allows me some time to look at flight radar. So yes, KLM flight 1228 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, now coming in first, an 18-year-old 737-900 delivered in April 2004, and behind it is the CRJ-900 from SAS coming in from Stockholm, that is 14 years old, delivered in December 2008. Meanwhile, the CRJ is coming closer by. Lambert asking what lens I use. Well, I use a camcorder, so there's a zoom range, and I think it's equivalent to, what is it, 35 millimeters or so, up to 600. So following the CRJ 900 from SAS is going to be the flight from ITA in the special livery, the born in 2021 livery. Now, while it says born in 2021 on the outside, the plane is actually a bit older and was delivered in March 2010 and is in fact 12 years old. Behind it is going to be an Embraer 190 from KLM coming in from London City. That is 9 years old, delivered in December 2013, and most likely another KLM Embraer coming in from Zurich is going to follow it. 5 years old, delivered in June 2017. Next up, the ITA Air coming in from Rome in the born in 2021 livery. Next up, KLM Flight 986 coming in from London City, an Embraer 190 that is 9 years old, delivered in December 2013. plane now coming in is coming in from Zurich, an Embraer 175 from KLM, 5 years old, delivered in 2017. And another KLM pilot in a hurry. Keeping up the speed, making sure they're back to the gate as quickly as possible. Next up coming in is an Embraer E2-195, flight 1142, coming in from Oslo. It's a 1-year-old plane delivered in October 2021. And on the left hand side we can see the next plane following it, also making its way over. That's KLM flight 598, a 777-300ER, coming in from Cape Town, South Africa. Meanwhile, the A300 from DHL is also nearby. And I'm going to turn around the camera because we are seeing the daily patrol from the firefighters. Pilot from this Embraer 2 keeping up the speed, making sure to clear the runway in time for the 777 behind it. Speaking of which, let's quickly turn around the camera back towards the end of the runway. Ooh. Toby asking about the departures. Well, no, from where we are standing, the departures are very poorly visible. We are standing at the almost the exact opposite end of the airfield from where the departures are taking place. So for the time being, its landings only on this runway and also only visible, unfortunately, if you had hoped to see departures. So now coming in is a DHL A300. Coming in from Madrid. 29 years old, so it was delivered in June 1993. Behind it is going to be Delta Airlines Flight 162. It's an A330-300 coming in from Minneapolis, and that is a 15-year-old plane delivered in March 2007. The yellow Canary from DHL, coming in from Madrid. 29 years old, delivered in 1993. Ancient technology. Next up, an A330-300, coming in from Minneapolis, from Delta Airlines. Coming in next is KLM Flight 1046, a KLM Embraer 190 coming in from Bristol. It's 11 years old, delivered in January 2012, and behind it another Embraer 175 from KLM coming in from Norwich. That is 6 years old. by the looks of it, runway 027 has also been opened for landings, if I look at flight radar. But still plenty more traffic coming this way, fortunately. Including another 777 coming in from Sao Paulo, from KLM. A few minutes out still. I think I'm just too late. The firefighters were seeming to do a drill with their fire extinguishers. They are still doing stuff. But no water display, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the next Embraer has just landed. So let's focus on the next inbound traffic. Getting closer and closer by. First up is an Airbus A320 from Iberia Express coming in from Madrid. It's a 15-year-old plane delivered in October 2007, and it's being followed by a 737-800 from KLM coming in from London Heathrow, 16 years old, delivered in April 2006. And number 3 is a 777-ER, 777-300ER from KLM coming in from Sao Paulo, and that is a 10-year-old plane. And Rick mentioning how it's nice to see an A300 now and again. If I look at flight radar, I can see a second one coming in, so very lucky there. We're going to see another one in a few minutes by the looks of it. A rare day where you see more A300s than Queens of the Sky. At least so far. We're also still waiting for an Emirates A380 Super. At least I'm assuming that is still underway at the moment. Normally they land around 12:30 local time, so we'll have to wait a bit longer. Let me quickly turn around to the 777-300ER coming in from Sao Paulo. KLM flight 792. After 10 hours and 50 hours of flight, this airplane, 10 years old, delivered in May 2012. So let's quickly turn around the camera for the second A300 coming in today. This A300 is coming in from London Heathrow, from DHL. Another 29-year-old plane. This one a bit younger than the other one. This one is delivered in February 1994. Still an oldie. Wobbling a bit, despite the lack of wind. What a beautiful soft touchdown. Also a bit of a wheelie. Huh? What's that smoke? Was that coming from the engine? Was that a bird strike on the ground? Or was it something else? I couldn't see as I was only looking at the screen on my laptop, on my camcorder. But that was very unusual. Didn't look like brake dust from braking hard. Unfortunately, I cannot zoom in any further than I'm doing at the moment. Huh. If anybody saw what was going on over there, I'm curious to know. Anyway, back to the action. 2 planes incoming. That's a cyclist. Where is it? There it is. First plane to arrive is from KLM Cityhopper number Embraer 190 coming in from Dublin, Ireland. The airplane, 9 years old, delivered in November 2013. Behind it is a KLM 737-800 coming in from Birmingham, 23 years old, delivered in June 1999. Well, Evan, we'll be quiet. Make sure your dad stays sleeping. Welcome to the stream for as long as you're going to stick around for. The airplane also helping in being quiet. Another pilot in a hurry. That's slowing down a bit. Vacating the runway in time for the next plane. The 737 from Birmingham. A few more planes coming this way. There's a whole train of airplanes coming in over the North Sea. So we'll have to see which one comes first. I can also see that there's a 757 from Icelandair coming this way. Now that's a type you also don't see a lot anymore these days. So today is definitely a stream of airplane types that you don't see that often. We've seen one Queen of the Sky, we've seen 2 Airbus A300s already, and we're about to see an Icelandair 757. Now they did used to operate a lot of them back in the day, but now a lot of them have been replaced by 737 Maxes. Happy to say that the sun is starting to come out a little bit again after having been obscured by some high clouds for a while. Back in the beginning of the stream I was still standing in the sun, but it quickly became a little cloudy. If I zoom out, you guys can see the only clouds that there are thin and high up in the sky. It's going to stay dry for the remainder of the day. I think it's the one day without precipitation for the rest of the week. I was hoping that tomorrow too the weather would have been reasonable, but the latest forecasts for this Sunday over here are that there is another area of rain coming over. So savor the moment now that we have some sun over here. Temperature wise, it's still approximately 3 or 4 degrees centigrade. Which equates to 36, 38-ish Fahrenheit. And Evan is checking in from Santa Monica, California. I figured either you were in Asia, but there it would have been evening at the latest. So West United States, 9-hour time difference still. In the middle of the night, yeah. That makes sense. Kuni informing us that the A380 is in and expected in around an hour or so. So that means it's nicely on time. I think it's always expected to arrive around 12:30 local time. So currently flying over Prague. Hopefully the runway usage will remain the same as it has been so far this morning, which means that we are expecting to see the A380 land over here. Unless of course runway 27 is in use by then, in which case it makes it more likely that it's going to land on that runway, since the A380 is going to come into the country from the east. So landing on 27 would be straight in, instead of having to take a little detour to the north first when it's landing on this runway. We'll have to wait and see. For the time being, a lot of traffic is still underway. The first plane to come this way is the 757 from Icelandair. Now forgive me if I'm sometimes searching to look back where the planes are, because the sun is somewhat out and is reflecting on the screen on my camera, so that makes it a little hard for me to exactly see where the airplanes are, but I think I'm properly lined up again. Looking at the screen of my laptop, I can confirm that. Yorkshire Biker, good morning. I'm doing well, hope you're doing fine too. You guys lose an hour of sleep tomorrow, Evan says. I think we are going to daylight saving time. Or is this now daylight saving time? I'm not sure. We have summertime and wintertime, as we call it here in the Netherlands, and I think we're due to go back to the summertime in the weekend of the last weekend of the month. So I think you guys in the United States are, 2 weeks earlier than we are? But we will change back to summertime, so also lose an hour of sleep in 2 weeks from now, in the night from Saturday to Sunday. But I think it's in the last weekend of March that we are doing the switch of the clock. So the 757 from Icelandair, coming in from Reykjavik, is 23 years old, delivered in March 1999. just zooming out to allow me some time to look at flight radar. You can also see it's in the old livery of Icelandair. .737 Maxes in a new livery. I have to say I like both. The 757, nicknamed the Pencil. Spoilers down, and flaps are going to go up after that. If I turn around the camera, there are two planes incoming, having their landing lights on already. The first one is an Embraer 175 from KLM, flight 916, coming in from Southampton and is 5 years old, delivered in January 2018, and behind it is a Boeing 737-700, shortest flight of them all, coming in from Brussels, well, excluding the relocation flights between Amsterdam and Rotterdam and Groningen. The Brussels inbound 737-700 is 12 years old, delivered in February 2011, and behind it number 3 is going to be an EasyJet A319 coming in from Manchester, 15 years old, delivered in May 2007. Meanwhile, the sun is coming out more and more. Nice for the temperature, a little bit worse for looking at the screen of my camera, but I'll happily take that downside for a bit of free vitamin D. Now folks, if you're liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me to reach more people like you and me who like content like this. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future you receive a heads up. And if you are feeling like it and have the time, can join us for future streams. The Embraer having cleared the runway already for the next plane that is not too far away. We all recognize the silhouette of the Boeing 737. It's coming in from Brussels. So basically you cannot even climb to regular cruising altitude because then it's going to be too high to descend in time. I think they reach a maximum altitude of approximately 20 to 25,000 feet at the most. Now they can climb quickly because they don't have to carry a lot of fuel on board because the flight is so short. I think it's like a 30-minute flight or so, if it's not even less. So they climb to a lower altitude than the normal cruising altitude. By the time they reach their cruising altitude, insofar as you can call it still a cruise if it's so short, they have to start their descent already. Evan, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much, man. So let's quickly turn around the camera. Our next plane is coming closer by. It's an EasyJet A319 coming in from Manchester, UK, 15 years old, delivered in May 2007. And behind it, although not yet visible, well, maybe it is. Let me look on the screen. Yeah, you guys can see it as well. Is Delta Airlines Flight 36. That's another A330-300. It's coming in from Orlando, Florida, after having flown 8 hours and 17 minutes. The airplane is 16 years old, delivered in December 2006. So first the EasyJet A319, already touching down. Coming in from Manchester. The A330 from Delta. Coming this way after this airplane has vacated the runway. Next up, Delta Flight 36 A330-300, coming in from Orlando, 16 years old, delivered in December 2006. Number 2 behind it is going to be an A320 coming in from Tangier, Morocco, Air Arabia, operated by Air Arabia Maroc. 2 hours and 45 minutes of flight, and this airplane from Air Arabia is 10 years old, delivered in May 2012. Now zooming out, there's still plenty more traffic inbound, although more traffic now also going to runway 27, that is now also open for landings. Let me double check. Yeah, and runway 24 is now the only runway in use for departures. So depending on how busy it is with departures and landings, they open up a second runway for landings and for departures. This runway will probably remain open throughout the day, as it's one of the 2 preferential runways of Schiphol. The other runway now in use for landings, runway 27, is typically only open during peak hours, or if the prevailing wind is such that one of the other runways cannot be opened or is less optimal in terms of crosswind. So any traffic inbound from the west typically proceeds to land on this runway. Inbound traffic from the east typically on the other runway, which is not good if we want to see the A380 from Emirates land in an hour from now, as it's coming in from the east. So if 27 stays open and is open by the time the A380 arrives, there is a chance that it's not going to land on this runway. So fingers crossed that by the time the A380 arrives in the country, runway 27 will be closed again for landings, and the Polderbaan, this runway, is the only runway still open then. Nothing to do but wait and see. We'll see eventually. So the next plane to come this way is the A320 from Air Arabia, coming in from Tangier, Morocco. just about visible in the distance. Behind it, number 2 is going to be KLM flight 1740, also a short flight, an Embraer 175 coming in from Luxembourg. So that's 45 minutes of flight. The airplane in question, 5 years old, delivered in November 2017. And looking to become number 3 is Air Canada flight 826 coming in from Toronto after having been airborne for almost 6 hours and 40 minutes. It's a 787-8 Dreamliner, 8 years old, delivered in December 2014. That's most likely going to be number 3 if I look at flight radar right now. Hey Ina, guten Morgen, good morning. Good to see you again. Welcome to the stream. Nice wheelie landing. Showmanship and control by the pilot. Look at that. A few hundred meters of doing a wheelie. Wonderful sight to behold. Things are opening up again. More area of the sky is now blue again, fortunately. So the high clouds we were experiencing earlier are either dissolving or blowing away. The next plane coming in is the Embraer 175 from KLM coming in from Luxembourg, and behind it will be the Dreamliner from Air Canada coming in from Toronto. Another pilot in a hurry, keeping up the speed. Taxiing further on the runway before vacating it more down the runway. Meanwhile, I can hear an explosive going off. So one of the Schiphol scarecrows does seem to be firing off around back in the distance, more towards the beginning of the runway, where the airplane is now taxiing. Meanwhile, the Air Canada Dreamliner is coming closer and closer by, so let me turn around the camera so you guys can see as well. There it is. So again, a 787-8 from Air Canada coming in from Toronto. 8 years old, delivered in December 2014, and behind it is going to be a 737-800 from KLM flight 1072, coming in from Manchester, UK, 22 years old, delivered in July 2000. PlayStation Gamer and Pepe Pito. Hi guys, welcome to the stream, good to see you again. For those of you watching, if you're liking what you're seeing and you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing to the channel. It allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive an update and you can join us if you have the time and are feeling like it. It also helps me to reach more people like you and me who also like content like this, growing the AMS Live community. Lovely aircraft. The other day we saw a Dreamliner from Air Canada land in the other livery with the black belly and the sunglasses look around the cockpit windows. I used it as a thumbnail. I think it was my stream of last Thursday. I have to say that's also a very nice livery, but this one also very pretty. Not sure which one is older or newer of the two. I'm thinking this is the old livery and the black belly and sunglasses look is the new livery, but somebody can enlighten me, please do so. Meanwhile, we're turning around the camera back to where the traffic is coming from. The next plane coming in is the 737-800 from KLM, coming in from Manchester, flight 1072, 45 minutes of flight, 22 years old this airplane, delivered in July 2000, and behind it is KLM flight 988, an Embraer 190 coming in from London City, almost 40 minutes of flight, and the airplane 13 years old, delivered in October 2009. There's another 777 coming in from KLM, a 200 ER from Rio de Janeiro. That's going to be number 4 if I count correctly. If you guys tuned in just now and missed the beginning of the stream, you missed one Queen and 2 Airbus A300s from DHL. Not 1 but 2, also relatively quickly in a row. After I'm done streaming, I'll look up the timestamps and include them in the comments below the video. Saving you guys some time from having to look that up. So let's turn around back to the action. First up is an Embraer 190 from KLM City Hopper, coming in from London City, 13 years old this airplane, delivered in October 2009. Then coming up, a Boeing 737-700 from KLM as well, coming in from Edinburgh, 13 years old, delivered in November 2009. Number 3 is going to be the 777-200, coming in from Rio de Janeiro. The Embraer vacating the runway at the first exit, which is over here. Making sure to vacate the runway in time. PlayStation Gamer asking how I am. Assuming that you're talking to me, I'm doing very well, thank you very much. And I am indeed from the Netherlands. I'm 100% cheese. Here, a Boeing 737, one of the many from KLM, ready to touch down here on the Polderbaan on a sunny Saturday. Meanwhile, in the background you can see the windmills starting to turn a little. I am also feeling just a small breeze, whereas while I was setting up and beginning with the stream, I wasn't feeling any wind at all, and the windmills were also still. That was K1, no, sorry, K2 in the foreground, passing by from the right to the left. One of the Schiphol bird controller vehicles. Let's turn around the camera. The 777-200 is also visible. K2 in the foreground. So this 777-200ER KLM flight 702 coming in from Rio de Janeiro, having flown 10 hours and 50 minutes, is 16 years old, was delivered in March 2006. If I look at flight radar, I don't see any other traffic going towards runway 27 anymore, so it looks like this is once again the only runway in use for landings. Fingers crossed it'll stay that way until the A380 from Emirates is about to touch down, because then we will see it land in front of us as this 777 is doing at the moment. Extremely quiet. I think it didn't apply a lot of reverse thrust, because I didn't hear anything actually, even though the slots, or whatever it is that you call them, are open. Were open, I should say. So let's see. I think you guys should be able to see the next plane coming this way. It's an Embraer 175 from KLM coming in from Bremen, Germany. Half-hour flight, just over half an hour. 5 years old, this airplane, delivered in May 2017, and behind it is an Embraer 190 from KLM in the SkyTeam livery coming in from Bergen. An hour and almost 15 minutes of flight. 10 years old, the airplane, delivered in April 2012. The next plane coming in is the Embraer 190 coming in from Bergen in the Sky Team livery. More planes are underway. I can see a Dreamliner coming in from LAX. Now starting to cross the North Sea. There is traffic coming this way, however it's still all a bit far away. So after this plane has touched down, we are going to have to wait a little bit before the next plane will come this way. If you look at flight radar and you zoom out and you look at the Netherlands, you can see there's still plenty more coming this way. On its taxi back to the main platform area and to the gate. If you're unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol, this runway is a little bit of an oddball in that it's much further from the main platform area than all the other runways. It's the latest edition, was built in 2003. And from where this airplane is right now, it's still a 10 to 15 minute taxi. Now particularly because the middle of the three north-south oriented runways is closed still for maintenance. They are unable to cross it midway as they normally would, thereby shortcutting the taxi, but now they have to go around the runway. So first to the right, head south, then around the southern edge of the runway back up north if they need to go to the north side of the main platform area, or cross to the south in the direction of runway 0624 if they need to be at the gate on the southern part of the main platform area. So depending on where the gate is of the particular plane in question, the taxi is a bit longer than it normally would be because they cannot cut short. At least last time I checked. And the maintenance on the center runway, the middle of the three north-south oriented runways, is expected to last until somewhere in April. Now, that's always something you have to await, see if it doesn't get delayed, which is not uncommon when it comes to construction over here in the Netherlands. Evan, if you're still around, thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you again soon. And good night for now. Most likely the next plane to arrive is going to be an Embraer 175 from LOT, Polish Airways, coming in from Warsaw. I think that's the closest by. Although 3 planes on the North Sea are also coming in closer and closer by, but all inbound traffic is still relatively far away at the moment. We'll have to wait a bit longer. Wind has started to pick up a little. While I was setting up, you could see the smoke rising vertically. Meanwhile, K2 patrolling, taking the time to do another round. Wind has definitely picked up over the last hour. Although the sun is out more, it has become a little bit more windy. But that's good. Makes it more likely that this runway will stay in use for landings, and that's good news because that means that the A380, now flying in the vicinity of the town of Münster in Germany, will very likely land on this runway. Let me have a look and see what the current runway usage is. Is 27 still open? No. 18 right is officially now the only runway in use for landings. So that's good news. If things stay the way they are right now, that means that the A380 from Emirates is going to land in front of us in less than an hour. Meanwhile, the Schiphol Scarecrow is setting off some fireworks in the distance. Let me see if I can find the vehicle. Cannot see it. Also not much going on at the fire station. PlayStation Gamer asking if I ever saw the Antonov. I didn't, unfortunately. Would have been nice to see one of the Antonovs that are still remaining sometime in the future. I did see Concorde once flying, departing from Amsterdam really long time ago. Well over 20 years ago, probably. I can recall the rumble it made. Too bad then it's not flying anymore. As you can see, departures taking place from the Kaagbaan, runway 24, also from the Aalsmeerbaan, runway 18 left. But we are now so far removed from the main platform area. Here you can see both control towers in one shot. On the left hand side is the main control tower of the main platform area. On the right hand side, the dedicated control tower for ATC controlling the traffic landing and taking off from the Polderbaan. As I was saying earlier, when these planes land over here, they still have a 10 to 15 minute taxi ahead of them before reaching the gate. And because this runway is so far removed from the main platform area, they also built a dedicated ATC control tower for it. Leroy informing us that the A380 is now in the Netherlands above Enschede, so in the east of the Netherlands. So we are expecting it to come this way. If it's now over Enschede, then it's probably going to arrive here in half an hour or so. There is a whole slew of airplanes coming this way from both the east and the west. First up, some smaller planes, but there's also a 787-10 Dreamliner coming in from LAX. That's also coming closer and closer by. You have the A380, of course, from Emirates. A couple of 737s going to precede it. Looking towards the south, I don't see a lot of inbound traffic at the moment. It's mostly coming from the east and the west. One airplane, several coming in from the north as well. The nearest by is one from TUI, coming in from Kitila. That's a 737 MAX 8. Closest by at the moment is the lot Embraer 175 coming in from Warsaw. That's a 13-year-old plane delivered in November 2009 after departing just over 1.5 hours ago. It is outbound and expected in 5 minutes or so from now. And coming in from the left, two Embraer E175s from KLM. The first one coming in from Darlington, the second one coming in from Humberside. And both are being followed by the 787-10 coming in from LAX. PlayStation Gamer asking when I go live. Well, that's all very much weather dependent. I try to go live whenever I can, but it's very much dependent on the weather. Either before the weekend or during the weekend or shortly after the weekend, but it's very much dependent on the weather. Let's begin turning around the camera. A few friendly clouds have formed in the sky in the meantime. The first plane will become visible shortly. I'm already looking if I can see it already. But I don't yet. So there are 3 Embraer 175s coming in. The first one from Lot, Poland, coming in from Warsaw, then 2 from the UK. Most likely number 4 is going to be a 787-10 Dreamliner from KLM coming in from LAX. Let me double check to see what the current runway usage is and if it's still only 18 right that's open for landings. And that is still the case, so fingers crossed that it's going to stay that way for the upcoming half hour. Because in that case we are going to see the Emirates A380 Super land in front of us. Visually, I don't see anything yet. Let me see if you guys can see something. If I look at my laptop screen, and I also cannot see anything on my laptop screen. Should become visible any moment now. According to flight radar, it's now turning final, and I think I can see the lights in the distance. Can you guys see it too? Yeah, you should be able to see the flickering light just left of center. Meanwhile, the second Embraer is also lining up, and the third one has just crossed over the beach. It's now over land, and the 787-10 coming in from LAX also coming closer by. From the east, an A320 and 2 737s are approaching quickly, and behind it the Emirates A380 Super. Good time for me to take a sip of water. We can see 2 of the 3, well no, we can see all 3 Embraer 175s at the moment. So the first one coming in from Warsaw, from Lot, is 13 years old, delivered in November 2009. The second one is coming in from Darlington, from KLM, 5 years old, delivered in January 2018, and the third one is coming in from Humberside, also from KLM, and is 6 years old, delivered in January 2017. Let's quickly turn around the camera. Embraer 175 number 2, the first one from KLM, coming in from Darlington. And in the distance, the third Embraer 175, second one from KLM, coming in from Humberside. Vacating the runway here at the first exit. Making space for the third consecutive Embraer 175, the second one of KLM. And now, number 2 behind it is the Dreamliner coming in from LAX. KLM Flight 604, a Dreamliner 787-10. 3 years old, delivered in November 2019 after having flown 9.5 hours. Going to land in a few moments. First up, the Embraer 175 coming in from Humberside. 6 years old, delivered in January 2017. Let's quickly turn around the camera for the 787-10 Dreamliner coming in from LAX. 9.5 hours of flight. Very quiet landing. Hardly any application of the thruster reversers, if any at all. Didn't hear anything. So let's quickly turn around the camera because there's an A320 from EasyJet coming in from Geneva that's also ready to touch down. Coming in next, Corendon Airlines, flight 1961, coming in from Antalya in Turkey, 737-800, 23 years old, delivered in January 2000. And also visible in the distance, but it has its landing lights on already, so you guys should be able to discern it. Let me have a look. Yeah. Is a flight from Turkish coming in from Istanbul, operated by, oh no, it's Anadolu Jet, operated by Turkish, coming in from Istanbul, 737-800, 16 years old, delivered in August 2006, and most likely number 3 is going to be the Emirates A380 Super. Now, according to Flight Radar, the Emirates A380 is coming closer by. I think I might see it in the distance. I'm unable to... Oh yeah, you can see it. There it is. So let's forgo... Stay on the A380. So we're lucky that at the moment this is the only runway in use. Magnificent sight to behold. So the A380 coming in the regular livery, coming in from Dubai, the daily flight 147. This airplane is 7 years old, delivered in February 2016. And it's been airborne now for almost 6 hours and 50 minutes. Just a few minutes away from touching down. Ramvirga telling us that there soon will be a WestJet Dreamliner coming after this Emirates A380 Super. It's going to be number 3. In between will be a 737-800 first. Smooth landing, really quiet also, I have to say. Now folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you receive a heads up. Plus it also helps me to reach more people like you and me who also like content like this. The Emirates A380 Super Flight 147 now on its way back to the gate. Still a 15-minute or so taxi. And I think it's around 2:30 local time. Then it's going to depart again back to Dubai. Let's turn around the camera. for the 737 from KLM, about to touch down. Nicely keeping up the speed so that the next plane can land in time and doesn't have to go around. Meanwhile, the Schiphol Scarecrow is coming this way again. Oh, sorry, this is not a Scarecrow, this is another vehicle. This is not a K vehicle, but a P vehicle. So next up, a 7879 from WestJet coming in from Calgary after almost 7 hours and 50 minutes of flight. This is a 4-year-old aircraft delivered in March 2019. Behind it is going to be an A320 from Aer Lingus coming in from Dublin, Ireland, 14 years old, delivered in February 2009. Du Canada. Nice to see two carriers from Canada land this morning. Although I have to say I like the livery from Air Canada a little better. This one has a bit of a plain livery. Meanwhile, wind has started to pick up just a little bit more. The thin layer of ice that was still over this water at the beginning of the stream has now molten because of the sun, and you can clearly see that wind is blowing in this direction, which is good. Makes it more likely that this runway will remain in use for landings. So let's have a look at Flight Radar, see what's coming next. So that would be the A320 from Aer Lingus coming in from Dublin. 14 years old, lived in February 2009, and behind it is the TUI flight from Kittila, a 737 MAX 8 that is 2 years old. And then number 3 is going to be a Ryanair 737-800, also coming in from Dublin, and that is a 16-year-old plane delivered in March 2006. Extremely silent, this airplane. Apart from the small squeak I heard from the brake. And already off the runway for the second plane coming in from Dublin, this one from Ryanair. Ryanair flight 5298, a 16-year-old plane, Boeing 737-800, delivered in March 2006. And behind it is going to be KLM flight 644. That's a 7879 Dreamliner coming in from New York JFK after 6 hours and 20 minutes of flight. That airplane is 6 years old, delivered in August 2016. So let's turn around the camera for the Dreamliner coming this way. Now I can see a few more planes coming this way on the left and right hand side, among which two 777s. And I can also see a 747 now in between Brussels and Antwerp, apparently going to make an approach from the west. I can also see a 767 from Latam Cargo coming this way, so a few more heavies underway. Don't go anywhere. That in fact was K2 passing by. So as the Dreamliner is taxiing back towards the gate. Let's turn around. For the next plane to arrive. First up is an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM coming in from Aarhus, 1 year old, delivered in February 2022, and behind it is an Embraer 190 coming in from Düsseldorf that is 16 years old, delivered in January 2007. Next up is the Embraer 190 coming in from Düsseldorf, KLM flight 1856, a 16-year-old aircraft delivered in January 2007 and is being followed by KLM flight 1598 coming in from Rome. That's a 737-800 that is 22 years old, delivered in August 2000. So this plane coming in from Rome, Boeing 737-800 from KLM, 22 years old, delivered in August 2000. And behind it is going to be another KLM 737-800 coming in from Manchester, also 22 years old, delivered in June 2000. So two millennials, and after that we are going to see two 777s coming in. So don't go anywhere. Folks, if you're liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you can turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you receive a heads up. It also allows me to reach more people like you and me who also like content like this, broadening the audience of AMS Live.
Ik vond gisteren wel mooi.
Ja, ik verbaas me ook elke keer weer. En dan denk ik van,
En dit is het hoogtepunt.
wat ik wel denk.
Ja, सही है। पूरा ही उड़ गया।
2 777s coming this way. The first one, a 777-200 KLM flight 755, an 18-year-old 777-200 ER coming in from Guayaquil, delivered in September 2004, and behind it is a ITA Airways 777-300 ER coming in from Doha. That plane, 5 years old, delivered in October 2017.
इतना बड़ा फ्लाइट हो सकता है यार। इसमें जूम ऑप्शन नहीं है इंस्टाग्राम में ना।
Meanwhile, the Schiphol Scarecrow is setting off some fireworks. There's the culprit. Apparently it has finished shooting off fireworks, so let's quickly turn around for the Doha inbound 777 from Qatar. Airport Holland Good afternoon, welcome to the stream. We are expecting more traffic. Let's quickly turn around the camera. A few more planes coming this way. The first one being an Embraer 190 from KLM coming in from Leeds. That is 12 years old, delivered in August 2010. Number 2 is going to be a Transavia flight coming in from Ivalo, 737-800, 7 years old, delivered in February 2016. Behind it is going to be a 737-800 from KLM coming in from Glasgow. Number 4 is looking to be a Latam Cargo Boeing 767 coming in from Miami. Now the second 747-400 of the day is also coming in. KLM Cargo, operated by Martin Air Holland, coming in from Frankfurt. 5 minutes or so out. The second queen of the day. Let's quickly turn around the camera. The next 2 planes are already visible, so let's quickly turn around the camera. First up, KLM flight 1474, 737-800 coming in from Glasgow, 16 years old, delivered in February 2007. Behind it, the 767 from Latam Cargo. Back to the glide slope. Coming in next, Latam Cargo Flight 1506, a Boeing 767-300ER, 16 years old, delivered in July 2006, coming in from Miami, Florida. After that, we are going to see two Embraers by the looks of it, and then a Boeing 747-400, the second queen of the day.
Ja, en daarna komt er nog eentje. Uit Aberdeen. Waar is die heel kilometer? Aberdeen, waar is dat? Oh, dat is Schotland. Dus, dat is er. Er komt eentje van zee hierheen, nee? Zie ik daar draaien. Ja, dat is van Schotland. Deze zo. Van zo. Oh ja. Oh, dan komt hier een hele dikke. Ja, ja.
Oh, je staat niet in beeld hoor.
Hoe duur is die?
Zeg je?
Hoe duur is die?
Oeh,
Heel veel zeker.
kost wel wat geld, ja, zeker. So next up, coming up is KLM flight 1058. That's an Embraer 175 coming in from Cardiff. 6 years old, delivered in September 2016. It's being followed by another Embraer 190 coming in from Aberdeen, KLM flight 1444. That is 13 years old, delivered in September 2009. And number 3 is going to be the Boeing 747-400 from KLM Cargo coming in from Frankfurt. Let's quickly turn around the camera so you guys can see the next plane, and I can also already see the Boeing 747 in the background. You guys should be able to see it as well. The second queen of the sky of the day. In the foreground the Embraer, but I'm going to forgo following that and stay on the 747-400 coming in from Frankfurt. It's a 19-year-old plane in the KLM livery, delivered in January 2004, and it's only coming in from Frankfurt, so it's a short flight, 50 minutes, less than an hour.
Dat is wel een hele dikke.
Het is een ouderwetse 747.
Ouderwetse 47.
747. Vrachtvliegtuig. Die gaat herrie maken. Zeker.
Doe mijn oren niet dicht hoor.
Nee, moet je niet doen. Moet je niet doen.
Dat is natuurlijk zo'n hele gaaf geluid.
Ja, en zijn er niet meer zoveel. Al die viermotorige vliegtuigen die worden te duur. Die zijn niet zo zuinig met brandstof. Dat is een van de vogelverschrikkers. Die zorgt dat de vogels niet in de motoren vliegen.
Kijk, je ziet hem nu ook goed.
Ja, precies. En mensen op internet die zien dat nu ook. Die de stream aan het kijken zijn.
Wat? Ja, weet ik. Dus je bent dit nu gewoon aan je...
Dit is live op YouTube, ja. For those of you who aren't speaking Dutch, I have some visitors over here looking to see what I'm doing and also looking at the footage that I'm shooting at the moment. Kijk, daar komt hij. As the Boeing 747 is coming closer and closer.
Dat is hard geluid hoor.
I was just explaining to the young friend standing next to me that you don't see these four-engined airplanes as often anymore because of fuel efficiency. A lot of freighters, of course, being twin engines nowadays.
Kan je dit ook terugkijken?
Zeker, ja. AMS Live, dat is mijn kanaal.
AMS Live.
Ja.
Hey pap, kom hier. Niet schreeuwen.
Unfortunately, these landing 747s don't make nearly as much noise as when they take off. Hopefully, sometime in the upcoming streams we will be able to see one take off again. But seeing them land still is a sight to behold. You can see that it still has its spoilers elevated, although they will be lowered shortly. There you go. The flaps are also going to retract as it's taxiing back to the platform area for the cargo planes. Still 15 minutes or so out from here.
Zo snel zijn. Hij komt. Ja, Barcelona. En deze? Wat was het nou?
So as this KLM 747 is taxiing back to the gate, a Top Air Portugal Neo has just landed. Vacating the runway. The first exit over here. So there's another A320neo coming in from Vueling, coming in from Barcelona, flight 8309. It's a 2-year-old plane delivered in April 2020. And it's being followed by an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM coming in from Milan. That's a brand new plane, was delivered in January this year. So hopefully no engine issues for this airplane just yet. And here's the A320neo from Vueling. Can you guys see the other airplane already? Oh yeah, you can see it on the left hand side, just approaching the glide slope. So after these two relatively smaller planes, we have another Dreamliner coming in from KLM, coming in from Minneapolis, a 7879, 7 years old, delivered in October 2015. It's making its way to the coast of the Netherlands just now. So it will be here in 5 minutes or so.
Die heeft wel hele grote koplampen.
Ja, zeker. Dus om goed te kunnen zien, ook bij slecht weer.
Ja, gisteren had hij zeker ook hard moeten vliegen.
Dat denk ik wel.
En hoe lang heb je hier al gestaan?
Ik sta hier vanaf, wat is het, een uurtje of 10? Even kijken. Volgens mij ben ik hier nu zo'n 3 uur bezig. So next up is the E2 Embraer 195 coming in from Milan, and number 3 is going to be the 7879 Dreamliner coming in from Minneapolis. I'm saying that, but I'm thinking it might be going to runway 27, as it's flying really high, almost 5,000 feet.
No,
Beautiful airplane. Coming in from Milan. Now I thought we were going to see a Dreamliner coming in, but it's continuing its flight and is on its way to runway 27. So let me have a look at the app that is displaying the open runways, and it says here that both 18 right and 27 are open, but for the time being I can see only traffic going to 27. given the fact that I have been streaming now for almost 3.5 hours and I'm also starting to get a little hungry, I think this might be a good moment for me to close the stream for today and call it a day. For those of you who have joined me, thank you so much for joining me. Hope to see you again during the next one. Enjoy the weekend, have a nice day, and talk to you guys soon.